Hello, today I will explain the poem My Last Duchess written by Robert Browning. This is one of the finest dramatic monologue of our English literature. This poem tells the story of possessiveness and consequence murder of the Duchess. This is written in form of dramatic monologue in which the speaker is Duke of Renaissance period and the listener is a messenger who has come with a marriage proposal to the Duke. Throughout the poem, the nature of the Duke and his wife is revealed. Duke is very cruel, cold-hearted. He is very possessive, and he has a possessive nature for the beautiful things, and he is greedy also. And on the contrast, the wife, the Duchess, is very simple and kind-hearted lady. Let's begin the poem. That's my last Duchess painted on the wall, looking as if she were alive. He's showing the painting of his last wife, the Duchess, and he's saying that look at this painting. It appears as if she is still alive in it. I call that piece a wonder now. Fra Pandolf's hand worked busily a day, and there she stands. And this painting is the result of Fra Pandolf. Fra Pandolf, a painter of that time, he said that Fra Pandolf worked hard throughout a day, and as a result this painting came out. Will it please you sit and look at her? So he requests to the messenger, will you please sit and look at the painting? I said, Fra Pandolf by design, for never read strangers like you that pictured countenance. He said that I myself mentioned the name Fra Pandolf by my will, because you are a stranger and you cannot judge whose painting it can be, and you cannot judge the expression of the faces in this picture, the depth and passion of its earnest glance. You are not an art lover, so you cannot notice the depth and the passion of the looks in this painting. But to myself they turned, as since none puts the curtain I have drawn for you but I, and seemed as they would ask me if they durst how such a glance came there. So not the first are you to turn and ask thus. He said that I am the only one who can draw this curtain from this painting. I never allowed someone to draw this curtain. This thing shows the possessiveness of the Duke, that how much possessive he was of the Duchess, and after her death how much possessive of her beauty, that he does not want anyone to reveal that painting to somebody else. So he says that he and the curtain I have drawn for you but I can draw these curtains, and seemed as they would ask me if they dare how such a glance came here. And sometimes people ask me about these looks when they look at the painting, and you are not the first who would inquire about the beauty of the painting. Sir, it was not her husband's presence only called that spot of joy into the Duchess' cheek. Perhaps Fra Pandolf chanced to say, her mantle laps over my lady's wrist too much, or paint must never hope to reproduce the faint half flush that dies along her throat. Such stuff was courtesy, she thought, and cause enough for calling up that spot of joy. In these lines, he is describing the nature of his wife, the last Duchess. It was not her husband's presence only called the spot of joy into the Duchess. He says that she was a kind of lady that not only her husband's presence make her happy. Perhaps Fra Pandolf chanced to say, her mantle laps over my lady's wrist too much, or paint must never hope to reproduce the faint half flush that dies along her throat. Such stuff was courtesy. So Fra Pandolf was painting her on the uh, on the wall, and she was so much happy. This kind action or this paid action of Fra Pandolf made her happy. She thought and caused enough for calling up the spot of joy, and this was enough thing to make her happy. She had a heart, how shall I say, too soon made glad. He said that she was a very innocent lady, she was very simple, and she has a kind of heart that can be made happy very soon, too easily impressed. She can be impressed very easily. She liked whatever she looked on. She liked everything. Whatever she looked, her looks went everywhere, and it was all one. So she looked everything with the same joy and happiness. My favor at her breast, the dropping of the daylight in the west, the bough of cherries, some officious fool broke in the orchard for her, the white mule she rode with round the terrace, all and each would draw from her alike the approving speech. So he's saying that she was a kind of lady, she has a very kind heart, and my favor at her breast, the dropping of the daylight in the west, and my favor or my marriage to her was a kind of blessing to him. It was just like a ray of light in the darkness of her life. Still, she considers my aristocratic name and its legacy as same as the cherries of the orchard and the joys of the riding on a mule in the park of the palace. He just want to say that she considers every joy of life very equal. She never considered that she is the wife of a duke, so she never behaved proudly, and she was very simple hearted lady. She thanked man good, but thanks somehow, how I know not how, as if she ranked my gift of a 900 years old name with anybody's gift. Now the anger can be seen, the objection of the duke can be seen towards the behavior of the duchess. He said that she thanked everyone in the same way. She is thankful to everybody as if she underestimate the name of 900 years old name of my family, just like the cherries and the horse ride. Who would stoop to blame this sort of trifling? So he said that who would bear this kind of behavior, trivial behavior, even had you skill in speech which I have not, to make your will quite clear to such as one and say just this or that in you disgust me, here you miss, or there exceed the mark, as and if she let herself be lost lessened, so not plainly set her wits of yours forsooth and made excuse. So he said, who would stoop to blame this sort of trifling, even had you skill in speech which I have not? He said that even if you know how to express yourself, and I am not that much expressive, I don't know how to say the things to make your will quite clear to such as one and say just this or that in you disgust me. He said that though I was not very good at this thing, that I could say her that this and this thing I don't like in you, here you miss or there exceed the mark, and if she let herself to be lessened, so not plainly set her wits of to yours forsooth and made excuse, even then would be some stooping, and I choose never to stoop. So this line shows the proud in her in his behavior, how much proud he was, how much proud he has that he is a king. That he said that I never wanted to stoop before her, I never wanted to request her to stop her that kind of behavior. Oh sir, she smiled no doubt whenever I passed her, but who passed without much the same smile? He says that yes, she smiled, no doubt she smiled whenever I passed by her, but everyone who passed by her gat such a good smile, such a beautiful smile. This grew. I have gave commands, then all smiles stopped together. This grew, and this behavior grows every day. She was so kind, she was so innocent, she was so beautiful, and she gives attention to everybody. And I gave command. Then I ordered someone, and all smiles stopped together. And I gave command to murder her. Someone killed my wife by my order. These line expresses that how much cruel he was, that he could not bear the simple behavior of the duchess, and he gave order to kill her. There she stand as if alive, and now there, here she is standing in this painting now, and she is looking very alive. Will it please you rise? We will meet the company below. Then now he has finished his all story, and he ordered, or he asked the messenger to rise up, and he said that we will meet the company below. Then I repeat, we will meet your master below. The count your masters know magnificent is ample warrant that no just pretense of mine for dowry will be disallowed. He said that your master is very rich, and this is enough to understand that he will give a good dowry, though his fair daughter's self, as I avowed at starting, is my object. Though dowry is not my consent, his daughter is the only one which is in my priority. Though he is saying so, but he is very greedy man, he wanted dowry as well. No, nay, we will go together down, sir. Notice Neptune, though taming a seahorse, thought a rarity, which claws of Innsbruck cast in bronze for me. So, while going downstairs, he again made the messenger look at a statue in which the Neptune was taming a seahorse, and that is made by the claws of Innsbruck, and this statue is made of bronze. So this is a very metaphorical phrase. Neptune stands for the duke, because he is strong enough to dominate someone. And seahorse, maybe seahorse may stand for duchess, because the Neptune is taming that seahorse. Seahorse is very delicate, and they don't have much strength to oppose someone very strong. So it is the representative of the duchess, and Neptune is the duke who's trying to control that seahorse. And this bronze statue is shown to the messenger in order to convey the idea that what kind of nature that duke has. Though he is interested in the girl of the messenger's master, but still he wants money, he wants dowry, he doesn't want anyone to speak against him. He was a very cruel man. So in throughout the poem, by the speech of the duke, his true nature is revealed very clearly. Here we stop the poem. We will do the explanation in our assignments.